More times than not on Necromunda, you don't need a lot of backstory as to why two gangs start fighting. The animosity and despair is deeply rooted in the populace. Our story picks up as the corpse grinder cult gang Slaughterhouse was attempting to hijack some labor near one of the mining sectors of Acropolis, a place where many slave Ogryn call home. Up from the mines that evening was Trogg, a senior Ogryn that many of his kin look up to. Insults were hurled, but it was the throw of a stone the size of a pebble that set him off. He mumbled 3 words by his count.
You picked the wrong Ogryn.
Welcome back to Miniature Game Montage in episode 2 of season 4. Per your vote on the community tab, we have the Slave Ogryn in their debut against the Corpse Grinder cult, a game where willpower checks may prove to be a big advantage for one side. A quick glance at the season table shows that we are just getting started. House Cawdor is at 1-0, while House Escher sits at 0-1. Let's take a quick look at the Ogryn, the Biggins. The Biggins are led by Trogg, an overboss with paired augmetic fists. These hit like a truck normally at strength 6 and give him 8 attacks on the charge. He has the Iron Man skill, ignoring toughness reductions from flesh wounds. He carries furnace plates and stem slugs. Alongside him are Booger and Pinky, both underbosses. Booger has an arc welder, furnace plates, and stem slugs. Pinky has a last cutter, furnace plates, and stem slugs. Both have the Iron Man skill as well. 3 Lobo slaves follow up from the mines: Boot with Spudjacker and furnace plates, Snot with paired augmetic fists, furnace plates, and stem slugs, and Stump with 2 axes and furnace plates. These boys come in at 990 credits. Picking the fight is the Corpse Grinder cult Slaughterhouse, and they come to the battle with the Butcher Diablo. He has paired Butcher's chain cleavers, he adorns plate mail and a Butcher's mask. He has the skill Counterattack. Bale and Mephisto are cutters. One has a rotary flensing saw with the skill Frenzy, the other has paired Butcher's chain cleavers with Bull Charge. Skinners are Belial, Asmodan with paired cleavers, and Duriel, who is unarmed. Initiates are Jurgen, Jarvis, and Craven, all with boning swords and auto pistols. They clock in at 1,000 credits. Today's scenario is Feast of the Fallen, which is from the House of Chains book. Crews are D3 plus 7. The Corpse Grinders roll up for all 9 fighters. Deployment will be standard. The special rule in this scenario is Gods of the Underhive, which is each time a fighter suffers a wound from a weapon with a certain trait, before rolling injury dice, check to see if they become empowered. We'll roll a d6 on a 4+, the fighter becomes empowered, receiving an effect that we'll discuss as we go. It should be noted that no further tests for empowerment will be made during this battle. In addition to their empowerment, they will have their wounds restored, ignore pinning, ignore flesh wounds, and treat serious injuries inflicted by ranged attacks as flesh wounds. For gang tactics, each player can choose 2. The Biggins choose Hard Stop and Die on Your Feet. Slaughterhouse chooses Infamous Butcher and Scent of Blood. This battle will end when only one gang has fighters remaining on the battlefield. If the gang with the empowered fighter still has that fighter on the board at the end of the game, they will claim victory, otherwise their opponent is victorious. Strap in, we certainly have some close combat coming up in this one as the Slave Ogryn and Corpse Grinders prepare for turn 1. Alright, preparing for turn 1, tactics cards are played. Die on Your Feet by the Ogryn and Infamous Butcher, giving one of the initiates Fearsome, and the turn 1 priority roll goes over to the Corpse Grinders. We've got a group activation here just to speed things up, as Diablo is going to move forward, activating 2 additional fighters with him. The Slave Ogryn are going to activate, sending Boot forward. And then back to the Grinders, we have another group activation. Mephisto activates along with another Grinder. Back over to the Slave Ogryn. Stump moves forward. And then we have the last of the Corpse Grinder gangers to move. Next up, Snot is going to move forward, and it looks like we're going to see some positioning from the Initiates as they move forward. This is Jurgen. He has the fearsome skill for this match. He is going to take a shot with his auto pistol. He's going to be targeting Stump, hitting on his base of 4. Auto pistol shot is going to be good. It will sink 2 hits into him with rapid fire. It's strength 3 against his toughness 5, so 5s will be needed to wound, and there'll be no wounds. As a note, these Lobo slaves are lobotomized, so they do not become pinned by ranged attacks. Booger moves forward, and then Jarvis moves down the stairs. He is going to fire his auto pistol, targeting Stump again, and will hit on his base of 4, 12-inch range on this auto pistol. And it does have a rapid fire, so that will sink 2 hits into him again. Strength 3, toughness 5. 5s are needed to wound, and we will see a wound on this one. Again, he avoids being pinned, and he will take furnace plates in the front. That is going to fail. Needed a 5 up there. Stump takes a wound as Trogg and Pinky do a group activation, moving up behind. Last activation for the Corpse Grinders. Craven moves down. He is again going to target Stump with an auto pistol, just hitting on his base of 4. Stump now has 1 wound on him, and that is going to hit 3 times with rapid fire. Strength 3, toughness 5. 5s are needed to wound. There'll be 1 wound. Furnace plates in the front is a 5-up save. There's no AP on this weapon. It is no good. He suffers an additional wound, and an injury die will be rolled out here as he is reduced to 0 wounds. And lucky for the Ogryn, that will just be a flesh wound, and that brings us to the end of a very quick turn 1 as both of these forces moving towards the center and getting ready for close combat. And gearing up for turn 2, priority rolls coming out now, and it looks like the Ogryn will be up first. Snot continues to move down the flank and gets close to Jurgen, who is going to react with his turn. He's going to fire that auto pistol short range, taking his ballistic skill down to a 3, getting at +1 short range modifier. That will hit, and ammo check will be required, needing a 4+, which is good. But it will need 5s to wound, as he is toughness 5. There will be no wound. Jurgen will then use his second action to retreat back. The Ogryn are going to continue to apply the pressure as Boot moves forward as well. That will get reaction shots from Jarvis, who is on the stairs. We'll need his basic of 4 in order to hit, and that shot is going to miss. He's going to use his second action to move back. Booger then activates, uses both of his actions to move. And we're going to have shots that fire off again, this time from Craven. And he is going to be targeting Boot. And that shot is going to miss as well on his normal ballistic skill of 4. He uses his second action to move back as well. For the sake of speed, you'll see a few activations here that go out of place. We just decided to start moving everything at once, as there's no further shooting that takes place. Diablo and Asmodan move forward. You then got Stump moving forward. And then back over for the Grinders, you're going to see Bale move. And then Trogg and Pinky are going to move forward as well as part of a group activation. Back to the Grinders, the rest of them are going to move as Mephisto goes over to cover for Jurgen. Belial and Duriel then move forward. So no real action taking place in turn 2, but we're getting ready for turn 3, and the powder keg is getting ready to erupt. An ever-important priority roll for turn 3 is coming out. Corpse Grinders with a 3, the Ogryn with a 1. And we're immediately going to get a group activation from Diablo. Asmodan moves in first to attack, but hard stop being played by the Ogryn. This is a tactics card that interrupts the charge and allows him to swing first. Stump has 2 axes, base attack of 2 +1 for 2 melee weapons, and he hits on 4s. That is going to be 1 hit. Strength 6 needs 2s to wound, and he fails. So Asmodan will hit with 5 attacks of his own, Berserker giving him 1 extra, and he hits on 3s. At Strength 4 versus Toughness 4 with that flesh wound, 4s needed to wound. Only 1 will be good. But before rolling injury dice, let's see if he comes empowered on a 4+, and he does. All wounds are restored, he can't be pinned, he ignores all other flesh wounds, and his unarmed attacks become damage 5. In addition, all effects of the attack are cancelled, so that attack virtually becomes 0. We're going to see some reaction attacks come back across from Stump, and that's 3 attacks hitting on 4s. Only 1 will go through. 2's needed to wound is a strength 6, and there's no wound, so they're going to stay locked up in combat. The next part of the group activation is Bale, as he comes down with that rotary flensing stall, getting into versatile range, so he will avoid reaction attacks. And he's going to lash out, first rolling for Frenzy to see if he gets extra attacks. He will just get 1. He is at range, and Frenzy makes him a weapon skill of 5 on this, and he is going to just get 1 hit. The rotary flensing saw is strength +1, bringing him to a strength of 5 versus a toughness of 4, as he does have a flesh wound that was on him. We played Empowerment as ignoring future flesh wounds. The roll needed is a 3 to get a wound, and that will be good. AP-2 cuts through the furnace plates, injury die will be rolled out, and that is a flesh wound which will be ignored. The Butcher Diablo then charges in with paired Butcher's Chain Cleavers, taking his attacks to 4, +1 for the charge, +1 for 2 melee weapons, a total of 6, hitting on 2s. And dice come out, and it's an abysmal roll. There's only 2 hits. Strength 5, Toughness 4 needs 3s. There will be a wound, and this is going to cut through the furnace plates at AP-2. Injury dice are rolled out. It's a serious injury and a flesh wound. The flesh wound is ignored, and the coup de grace is prevented by Die on Your Feet, the tactics card. He takes D3 flesh wounds instead, is knocked back an inch, and remains standing. He does not become pinned. And those flesh wounds are ignored. So all of that, and Stump is still standing. Over for the Ogryn, Stump activates, and is going to attempt to charge Azmodan. He fails the willpower check, however, needing a 10, and he will stay put. We've then got Jurgen, who is going to aim and fire down at Snot, and that aim taking his ballistic skill down to a 3. That is going to hit 3 times with rapid fire. Needs 5s to wound here, and there will be no wounds. Trogg announces a charge into the Butcher, which he can do. The Butcher is terrifying, however, so he will need to pass a willpower check on a 9 in order to make a fight action. That check is going to be failed. And we roll back to the Corpse Grinders, where Jarvis is going to fire down at Snot with that auto pistol. He will aim first, so needing 3s. That is going to hit twice at rapid fire. Needing 5s in order to cause a wound, and there will be 1 wound. The furnace plates are a 5-up save in the front. That is failed, so Snot is going to take a wound. We've then got a charge from Boot into the Butcher, and he will have to roll a 10 on his willpower check in order to make a fight action due to Terrifying. That is passed on boxcars. So Boot has 2 base attacks +1 for the charge with the Spudjackers, hitting on 3s due to an assist from Trogg, and 2 hits are going to go through. Strength 6 against his toughness of 4 means 3s are needed to wound. That's going to be 2 wounds. There's no AP on this weapon. The Butcher just getting a 6-up save, as this is in the side. And both of those are going to fail. That is 2 damage on the Butcher, reducing him to 0 wounds. Injury die rolled out, and it's an out of action. So the Lobo Slave has caused an out of action on the Butcher, and it is going to be a 46, which is humiliated. We're going to have to take some cool checks for nearby Azmodan. He needs a 6 due to Bale being nearby. That has failed, so he breaks. Bale is going to be just fine on his cool check, but Azmodan making a run for cover 5 inches. The Corpse Grinders do play the Scent of Blood tactics cards, giving one of their fighters a free fight action, and Bale is going to take that with that versatile rotary flensing saw, rolling for Frenzy. He is only going to get 1 additional attack. These are 2 base +1 for Frenzy, so 3 in total, hitting on 5s due to range and Frenzy. That is going to be 1 hit. 4s are needed to wound at Strength 5, Toughness 5, and it's no good. Moving back over to the Corpse Grinders, Craven is going to fire down at Snot, and he is going to aim first, taking this down to a 3 required to hit. That is going to be twice at rapid fire. Does need 5s to wound here, Strength 3, Toughness 5, and that is going to be 1 wound. Furnace plates in the front is going to save it on a 5+. Snot then activates, announces a charge into Mephisto. He cannot fail this charge. He sticks some stuff with stem slugs to make sure. The champion is terrifying, willpower check fails, and these two stay locked in place. Mephisto will activate next, and he is going to swing, getting 2 base attacks, doubled for paired, and then +1 for dual melee weapons, 5 in total, and another abysmal roll, and he needs 3s in order to hit only 1. Strength 5 against toughness 7, and that is not going to wound. Reaction attacks will come back across from Snot on this, and he has a base of 2, doubled with paired to 4 with those paired augmetic fists, and +1 for 2 melee weapons. He hits on 4s. 4 of these are going to come across. Strength a lot with those stem slugs versus a toughness of 3. 2s are needed to wound, and there will be 2 that go through. He is knocked back into the wall, which will cause additional damage. He has plate mail and a cutter's mask, but AP -1. He does have a 5-up save. One of these will be passed, the other goes through. With the knockback, we assess 3 damage, which takes him down to 0 wounds. 2 injury dice come out. It's a serious injury and a flesh wound, but he does not get the coup de grace because this is during reaction attacks. Nearby Jurgen takes a cool check, and that's passed. We flip back to the corpse grinders where we have a charge. This is Belial coming into the side of Boot. Paired takes him to 2 attacks, +1 for the charge, +1 for 2 melee weapons, and +1 for berserk charge. And he's going to hit on 3s. 4 of those result in hits, but he does need 5s in order to cause a wound. And he will get 2 of these, and Shred will kick off, doubling the AP. They will all go through as this is in the side of furnace plates. So we roll out 3 injury dice as he's reduced to 0. He takes 2 flesh wounds, and for the serious injury, it is D3 flesh wounds, which is 2, a total of 4 flesh wounds, and he remains with a toughness of 1. Per the card, he is knocked back 1 inch and pinned. Pinky will react with a charge into Mephisto. He is fearsome, so needs to pass a willpower check, and he does fail, so that charge is unsuccessful. We've then got Duriel. He is going to charge into Boot, attempting to clean this up, and this will allow Boot to get back to his feet. He does have a toughness of 1, however. Duriel is unarmed. So 1 base +1 for the charge, +1 for berserk charge is 3. All 3 of those are going to hit, and he's at toughness 1. So just looking for 2s here, as this are strength 3, and that's going to be 2 that are good. Furnace plates in the front's a 5-up save. 1 is good. That will be 1 more damage, however, and an injury die will be rolled out once again. And that is going to be an out of action for Boot. A quick roll on the D66 for Boot, and that is a 26, which is out cold. We will take some nearby cool checks from Trogg. He does have a lot of people around him. That is easily going to be good. His base cool is 5, and he's getting assists. We are then going to roll up for Stump, who is the guy that's empowered, and he has 2 people around him. He is fine. And then we are rolling up for Pinky, and Pinky is going to break. Pinky had a cool of 7, going down to a 5 for the 2 fighters nearby, but still not enough. And last up for the Ogryn, Booger is going to announce a charge into Mephisto. Again, fails that willpower check. The mask is fearsome. He cannot make it into combat, and that brings us to the end of a very exciting turn 3 as the Butcher was taken out of action. Another champion is down, seriously injured, and one of the Ogryn taken out as well. Bottle check for the Slave Ogryn are just fine. And then we're going to roll up to see if the Stem Slug overloads on a 1. It could be catastrophic. That is okay as well. We then have a rally test for Pinky. He's got a cool of 7. He is going to be good. He's going to recover. And now we are going to roll up for the Corpse Grinders. Got a seriously injured fighter that's down here, rolling a injury die for him. He will stay down with a serious injury. That's going to be a big blow to them. And then we have recovery test. Asmodan has a cool of 7, 2d6 rolling out, and that will be an 8. He is going to recover. Moving into turn 4, priority rolls getting very important here. Dice are coming out now, and it's a 2 for the Corpse Grinders, re-rolling a cock die there for the Ogryn, and that is going to be a 3. The Slave Ogryn are going to take priority. Mephisto immediately gets the coup de grace from Snot, and he relocates to box in Jurgen. D66 now being rolled up for the champion Mephisto, and that is a 54. He will be hobbled, which will -1 to his movement moving forward. That out of action results in a nearby cool check, which is passed from Jurgen. And the other champion, Bale, immediately going to launch into combat with Trogg, getting in base to base this time. He will launch out that rotary flensing saw, gonna roll up for Frenzy here to see if he gets additional attacks. And he is only going to get one. Base of 2 plus 1 for the charge plus 1 for Frenzy is going to be a total of 4. And he hits on a weapon skill of 4. That -1 coming from Frenzy. And it looks like there's going to be a total of 2 hits. That is going to knock him back. He will not follow up. Rolls to wound, however, are no good, needing 4s. And due to the knockback, there will be no reaction attacks on this. We move back over to the Ogryn, and Trogg is going to activate, and he is going to charge back into Bale. We'll need to pass a 9-up willpower in order to fight, and he just misses it by 1. We go back to the Corpse Grinders, where Belial is going to slide into the side of Trogg and attempt to take him out with those paired Butcher's Chain Cleavers. Base attacks go to 2 for paired, 1 for the charge, 1 for 2 melee weapons, and 1 for berserk charge is 5 in total, hitting on 3s. And that is going to result in 3 hits. Strength 4 against Toughness 5, however, requires 5s in order to wound, and that is just going to be 1 wound. It will shred, which doubles the AP. Trogg does have 3 wounds, and that just takes 2 away from him. Trogg turns to face, and he is going to launch a number of attacks. Paired Augmetic Fist, he has a base of 3. Paired doubles it to 6. And he gets 1 additional for 2 melee weapons, and he hits on 4s due to turning, and 3 of those are going to fail. 4 are good. Strength +1 takes him to a 6 against a toughness of 3, so he is just going to need 2s in order to wound, and that is going to result in all. AP -1 against Plate Mail in the front and a Skinner's Mask. Should be 5-up saves here. We played it as a 6 by accident. I'm not sure it would have mattered too much as we rolled out 8 injury dice versus 6. Either way, he was going out of action if they all resulted in flesh wounds. And the Ganger Belial rolling on the D66 table. And that first one's going to be a 6 and a 4. It will be critical. We will need to take a cool test for nearby fighters. Bale is going to fail. And then for Duriel, rolling up for him as well, he is going to break. That break causing him to immediately run for cover. Over for the Ogryn, Booger is then going to launch a charge into Bale, a charge that he cannot fail, and he will need to pass a willpower check to see if he can make attacks. Booger has a willpower of 9, and that is going to fail. Over on the other side, Jurgen is going to fire into Snot. He's going to aim first with that auto pistol, and that's going to take him down to a 2 as he does get a +1 short range modifier. That is going to hit 1 time, requiring 5s in order to wound. There is no wound. We've then got Stump, who is empowered. He charges into the side of Bale. We'll need to pass a willpower check, and he fails. Jarvis firing his auto pistol down at Snot, aims first, so needing a 3, hits twice with rapid fire, 5s in order to wound, and that will result in 1 wound. Furnace plates in the front's a 5-up save, and that is going to be failed, so he will be down to 0 wounds. Injury die being rolled out here for Snot. And this could potentially get them back into the game. It is just a flesh wound. Pinky then moves up the backside using both of his actions to move, and we've got Craven. He is going to move down and fire at Snot as well, trying to take this Ogryn out of action, and he requires a 4. Fires the auto pistol. That is not going to result in a hit. An ammo check will be required, needing a 4+. That has failed. He is now out of ammo. Asmodan, who recovered last time, is going to simply back up, looking to lend some assistance to Duriel. And that brings us to the end of the turn. Bottle check by the Ogryn are great. We do have a rally test here, which is going to be failed. That fighter will stay broken. We also have a rally test from Bale, and he is going to recover. That brings us to the end of the turn, and the Corpse Grinders at this point are going to voluntarily bottle off the board. We do take an initiative check for Bale. He does get away from these 3 Ogryn here, and the Corpse Grinders are on the run. Down their Butcher, a Cutter, and a Skinner, they've decided to flee, looking for some better results in the future. The mighty Slave Ogryn in their channel debut are going to take a victory today, improving to 1-0 on the season. I immediately learned in this game that toughness 5 right out of the box, especially in the early game, is extremely difficult to deal with, and you'll hear more about that in the post game coming up next. Alright, welcome to the postgame where the Slave Ogryn got the job done against the Corpse Grinder cult. Strength 5 at the start of a campaign is very good. At most, the Corpse Grinder champions were wounding on 4s with Shrink +1 weapons, but they also couldn't hit. There were 2 or 3 instances where 5 attacks or so resulted in 1 hit. The empowerment was pretty crazy, and Lobo Slaves in general are very good. They avoid pinning and still hit with base attacks of 2. I rolled up for the grinders as usual, and I really thought I could just go in and group activate and mincemeat like normal, and I was dead wrong. The Ogryn also have tactics cards, Die on Your Feet, which impacts all coup de grace actions, making them D3 flesh wounds instead of going out of action, and they are no longer seriously injured. But hey, the Ogryn are tough, no doubt. I thought for sure the fearsome and terrifying rules for Mask would hinder them into oblivion, and to some extent it did. But if they survive and make counterattacks, that's an issue, as they are avoiding those masks. They are very good at surviving, and overall I'm very impressed with the Slave Ogryn right out of the box. For spoils, the Ogryn will collect 50 credits, and +1 rep, the Grinders will collect 25 credits. The MVP will go to boot for single-handedly, and I mean that literally, taking out a Butcher. We did have Belial that was escorted to the dock with a critical injury. They were unable to roll up enough to save him, and he will die as a result. I hope you enjoyed this game. Many thanks as always to the Coffee Supporters Club for 2022. If you want any info on that, a link will be in the description. Each coffee is worth about 1,000 views on my content, so that's pretty awesome. There will also be some Amazon affiliate links and other ways to support the channel should you deem it worthy. I'm totally good with just a like on this video. Thanks again, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.